If there's one thing I've missed as an Australian exchange student studying in Sunway,
It's the availability of affordable local wine. Because unlike wine-growing, wine-consuming Australia, Malaysia's all-imported wines serve a niche market of fine diners, which generally doesn't include the student population. But at the Members' Day of the newly opened Denise Wine Specialty Store in Dataran Mentari, I had the chance to mingle with some local wine experts and discovered that Malaysians really know their palates.
The first one, of course, we do look for the real proper of the wine appreciation. We always look for the color first. Your color is the one who indicated the age of the wine. Then look at the colors. Either it's purpley, or it's slightly ruby, or it's come to a brownish. So it depends on the people. The second part, we always want to swirl it. So is the most important part of this. To get the very full flavors, to breathe the wines, you have to swirl it. The last one is always we call it savor. Oh, cheers.
While this particular wine outlet may be brand new, the Denise Wine Company has had a chance to age in its 8 years of business, attracting a strong following of wine lovers. Today is cause for celebration because it's the 8th birthday of the specialist wine supplier, and in the theme of Lucky 8, the owners decided to put 80 different types of wine on the tasting table. I was impressed to see that guests were making their best efforts to try all 80 flavours of mostly Italian and Australian wine.
I've tried maybe 70% of it.
and how have the Italian wines compared to the Australian ones?
Well, they are totally different in character. Generally, Australian wines are more palatable to Asian palate.
The last 8 years, we've been selling 45% Australian wines of the whole portfolio of wines that we sell, which means outside Australia, we are one of the few stores, few chains that are selling the most Australian wines. Basically, Australian, the thing is that it's so near. A lot of graduates comes back. A lot of people travel there for holidays, so they are very used to tasting Australian wines. At the same time, with the kind of heat for Australia, it produces a lot of ripeness, very jammy wines, which is quite suited to Malaysian palate.
But David plans to experiment with new flavours and fill the shelves with more Italian and European wines.
Well, I just came back from Vin, Italy. He still has this belief that all roads leads back to Rome. And after being 2 weeks in Italy, I think there's a lot to discover. Because it's been Australian wine and New Zealand wine all this while. So I thought it's just something to excite our members.
Indeed, guests were certainly showing their appreciation for the range up on the top floor, where the reserve wines are kept.
So we're up here on the top level. What's so special about the wine up here?
I would say it's a little bit more special than the wine down below that you may have actually gone through. They're generally older vine grapes. Probably the cream of the cream of the crop of the various labels that are on offer here. Now, I've been in Asia now about 10 years, and I guess my appreciation for wine has grown considerably since I've been here.
Do you think, is that because it's more of a niche thing over here? People appreciate it more?
No, I just think it's well, for my case, it's just, I guess, with age, you start drinking a bit more wine. You start to look at it in a different way. How it actually pairs with food, how it makes you feel, the smell, the taste, the different sensations you actually get out of it. And I guess that's why wine is such an interesting elixir.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, it's something to be shared with friends, to talk about, and to be enjoyed.
Away from the gentlemen's club upstairs, I spoke to the mother of the Denise Wine Shop, who gave me a different take on wine appreciation, relating the variety and depth of wine flavours to the female character.
We named the house after my three daughters, Denise, Dion, and Divine. All these wines actually are very similar to their characters. Denise is very soft, but yet she knows what she wants by end of the day. If you have a very stressed day, come and try a bottle of Divine. Why? Because it's very bubbly. And Dion, if you want to have a very fine, quiet dinner, you should go for Dion. I don't call it as a party wine. I call it as a drinkable in a sense that you can really sit down and enjoy the moment. Why? Because it slowly come up with the character. That is Denise.
For Mei Li, a wine is like a woman. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. She says this is the pleasure of wine tasting, exploring your taste buds and savouring the many different structures and moods of wine. Her partner is equally passionate about the wonders of wine tasting. He says more and more people are taking up the hobby of wine appreciation, as it becomes a less exclusive pastime.
Is it quite a niche thing here in Malaysia, wine drinking?
When we started 8 years ago, it is. Now you go to every wedding in KL, 90% of them are wines. That's fantastic. In Chinese New Year, I went to the Chinese restaurant, half the tables have wine. That is just what we started off with our mission to put wines in every Asian dining table, which we are seeing that happening right now. We like what is developing right now.
Is wine appreciation something you can learn, or is it something you just have a knack for?
Well, some alcohol always help. Coming back, yes, I mean, you have to make it as simple, as localized as possible. That's why even in our wine description, we do not use things like roseberry, gooseberry, because these are things that the local doesn't know, and you frighten them away. So we try to use things, replace with words like guava, and to make it as welcoming as possible. That it doesn't, you don't feel shy to talk about it, and also simplify it a little bit, so that people tends to think wine as not so distant and not so Western.
Far from catering for an esoteric few, David hopes to attract amateur palates to wine tasting. His enthusiasm has certainly renewed my interest. Jane Barraclough, The Star, Malaysia.